Okay, so today I want to try to talk about interdependence. Now, um, we have three types of relationships when we're talking about in the international community. Countries can be interdependent on each other, or they can be independent, or they can be dependent. Now, what do we mean when we talk about these relationships? Well, let me give you an example in the past. Pre-globalization, a long time ago, we were much more independent. So the countries had a lot of barriers. There was a barrier of language, distance, being able to collaborate and communicate was very difficult. We weren't in one community, we were in lots and lots of national communities. So we didn't have much to do with each other. We all had our own judicial system. And yeah, there was a little bit of trade, but there wasn't this dependency on each other. So this interdependency, we were independent. In this, if we think within a country, there is a one juridical system, and there's no barriers. There's no, people can go where they want and live where they want, and goods can travel where it wants, and there's one law. And so that means there is interdependency. It means there is one community. So the nation itself was very autonomous and very self-reliant, and maybe we produce cars there, and all the process of producing cars was within that nation state. In this interdependency, it means if something hurts, if there's damage done to one part, it will hurt all the other parts. So let's imagine that there's a big collapse in England of the financial sector many years ago when it was very independent. This would hurt all of the United Kingdom because it acts like a body, like me. If I have a problem with my heart, that affects my whole body. We are, as organisms, we are interdependent, and as nations, we were very interdependent. Our economies and our culture and politics was all organised on a kind of global national level, so on an entire national level. But we've developed this globalisation where all these tiny pieces have come together. So all the nations in their independence has come together to form one system, maybe an economic system where the rules of the economy are decided by the World Trade Organization, or one judicial system where we have international law and we can communicate and collaborate very easy because there's no barriers, because we have the technologies, we all know how to speak English. So this really does break the barriers and stop this independence. Remember, with this independence, by helping the third world, I lose. It really is a win-lose, a zero-sum game. So if I take doctors from the third world, the nation does well, but the third world nation does badly. Or if I send money there, we lose that money. And it doesn't come back, it just develops the third world. But when you come together and organise one single economy on a global level, we've got all these little villages becoming one big village where, we're all the specialisations, all the supply loads of crisscrossing nation states and there's one law, this really means you've got interdependence. So if Greece does badly, that brings the whole world down, and the whole world does badly too. It has a knock-on effect, and that is what is globalization, and that is interdependence. And by helping each other, suddenly with interdependence you want flow. So you need to help each other, and that makes you work better as a team. Whereas with independence, you need to be competitive because you're taking away from the other part. Now there are certain parts of the world which is even more interdependent, like for example the European Union is really interdependent. It's turbo-driven interdependence because there are no values. We are harmonising all laws. There's a freedom of movement of labour, finance, goods and services, and laws, like for example, you've got to have a warning on cigarettes, and that's European level, that's one law, or the pollution laws, all for everybody. So we are one community working towards the same aims, really. And so in that way, it's really important we do help each other. If, for example, Italy buys something from Germany, Germany pays a membership fee to the European Union, and so the European Union can help Italy because it's got money, and maybe Germany has more money now and it can buy very easily without the barriers from Italy, and anyway the Italians can go to Germany and get a job and live there anyway, so if it does well, we can move there anyway. So, there's really this interdependence, and then what happens is we think, Ireland's not doing very well, we need to help Ireland because then that will help us. Yes, with this interdependence. So it really does mean solidarity is important. And Brexit, if we go further down this road, Brexit created a bit of competition between the two systems because England wanted independence. Now it's less, there's less interdependence, and there's more competition. It's more in the interest of both parties to compete rather than have this solidarity. So this really has changed, and this globalization really does create this environment of prosperity but also peace, because there's suddenly in everybody's interest not to do damage to the other. If we bomb, Germany, it's just hurting us because we're so entwined, our destinies are so entwined together, and it wouldn't do us any good. Russia is, with its war, is trying to create a dependency, a relation of dependency. So it's going in the opposite direction. Europe is trying to take us towards prosperity and peace with this, interdependent relationship. Russia, on the other hand, is really trying to dominate and create a dependency of Ukraine. So Russia will decide what is done in Ukraine and whether Ukraine can join NATO or not, or whether Ukraine must do this, that or the other. And this we can see in terms of relations, the more authoritarian, the more we go in the direction of dependency, where the authority suddenly is the one making all the decisions, and we become like children depending on parents for our future. and without any freedom. Maybe it might feel more secure like that, but in the end we don't grow. So Russia's trying to pull us in another direction. The connection with human rights on this is that human rights is the opposite to dependency. They really are to allow us to develop our personalities and express who we are without being controlled. So we are both independent, but also we do depend on each other, because human rights is also the freedom to work, the freedom to be cured in the hospital. This means we do require a certain amount of solidarity, even the freedom to say to speak our minds. It means that you must allow me to express this human right. So it does create an interdependency between people. It means that we've got to help each other, and we've got to allow each other to express our personalities, and not to try to dominate and command and stifle another personality, but also to create a relation. There can be, with independence, like with Brexit, often it's freedom from. So freedom from Europe, whereas the Europeans, I think, focus much more on the freedom to. So I'm free to travel Europe, to go to university in Spain, to retire in France, to open a business in Germany. This really allows me the freedom to do things and to grow. Whereas maybe this kind of Anglo-Saxon spirit is more about being free from the authority and freedom from being controlled by a group. So there is a very important, element of freedom in the heart of Anglo-Saxon culture, but it's a bit more towards freedom from, rather than really creating a community, which, our interpretation of human rights, I think, as Europeans, is that it really does mean we help each other rather than we just stand, we grow stronger on our own 2 feet and free from interference.